Okay, welcome everybody to the Legacymakers Podcast. Super excited you're on today. I don't know what episode this is, but we're excited for this one. It's one of my favorite topics. Today we're actually talking about the idea of how legacy starts with you. And when we talk about our family and the things we want our kids to demonstrate, the things we want to instill in our kids, it always has to start with us because we're the role model. And there's this saying that says, it's not what's taught, it's what's caught. And this idea is especially important because we want to build trust in our kids. We want to build trust. We want our kids to be able to trust what we say. And if we say one thing, but then do the other, maybe without realizing it, then our trust with them is going to be broken. Maybe not necessarily in a big way, but those subliminal, those kind of little, those repetitions where you're constantly, or maybe you don't even realize it when you're saying one thing and you're not doing it, you yourself, like let's just use a very, very practical example. Let's just use physical health. Let's say you say, oh, you guys got to be healthy. You got to don't eat junk food, or you need to exercise, go run, get some energy out. And then, but they never see you doing it. And so what do you think that really tells them? I think that's...
Yeah, sneaking treats all the time.
Yeah, or they see us. Yeah, they see us sneaking treats, which they do.
And now they sneak treats. Darn it.
So yeah, it's just, this is a really, really important subject because yes, we can preach at them. We can preach at our kids all day. We can try and reinforce ideas and talk about things that are important. But if we're not actually living things out and demonstrating it and modeling it with our own practice, with our own character, then we can expect that when they get older, like they're going to do what we did. Because that's just how it is. Kids do what they see. They don't necessarily always do what they're told. Would you agree, Meg?
Yeah. I think that as parents, we definitely set the standard for them, and they're constantly learning from us. So I think in that, it's so important to be made aware of what we're modeling and do put in the effort and the work to heal from our own things that we've learned from our past and the traumas we've experienced to really put in work to grow from those so that we don't pass those things on. And but I think that's easier said than done, right? Like how have you learned to be more aware of what you're passing on or like what you're modeling in terms of negative things?
It's a good question. It's been a process, just like anything. It takes time. But I think this is actually another thought. I think, in the thought of having an amazing spouse, someone who's really on your team and on your side, having someone there to support you in a way that they're going to not just enable or just, let some of your default behaviors continue without maybe calling them out or, saying something that you feel like, hey, maybe you should consider saying that in a different way, or maybe you should consider changing this, or, and at least maybe to kind of start that awareness and understanding cycle. But then also like, I think it has to start with like an attitude of selflessness and wanting to serve and wanting to see your kids flourish, and becoming aware. You have to become aware of your own flaws and your own tendencies and your own patterns.
When have you become aware of something? Like, how did you become aware of a specific situation?
Well, a long time ago, I don't know what was going on, but I remember Smith was pretty young. He was probably like 4 or 5. And I think I was really frustrated with something going on. And I remember yelling at him because he was doing something he shouldn't have been doing. And I told him no, like pretty sternly. And I remember he had this look on his face that looked like his heart was just broken. Yeah. And I saw that and I realized that I had done something wrong. Like I had spoken to him in a hurtful way and it really affected him. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one instance, and it was just like a wake up call. Like, okay, there was something going on in that moment besides just Smith that triggered me to, react in such a harsh way. And so in that moment, I kind of just took a step back and took a deep breath. I apologized. I apologized to Smith and I said, I'm sorry. And I asked him if he forgave me. And it was just a cue for me that, okay, there's something going on. There's maybe some sort of stress. There's some sort of external circumstance that maybe I'm not realizing how it's affecting me. Mm-hmm. And for me, when those things happen, and it did in this instance as well, is I'll usually go and just spend some time reflecting, whether with God, journaling, for the next, at least once or twice over the next week or so. And I'll take some time aside and, really consider like, okay, what is going on? Like what's triggering me? Maybe there's something at work. Maybe someone said something at work, so I kind of just reflect back. I'm like, how did I get to the point where I was, I reacted so harshly? Mm-hmm. Like, how did that emotion, I don't think a 4 or 5 year old needs to be spoken to like that, So it's like, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. So maybe there was other things going on earlier in the timeline up to that point that I wasn't dealing with, in a healthy way. Mm. Yeah.
How would you determine when you can take time to be with the Lord, pause, ask forgiveness, be with the Lord, reflect, and kind of do that more on your own versus needing more external help from going to counseling or doing transformational prayer, something like that? Where's the line?
It's a great question.
Thanks.
Yeah, I feel that's a good question. I think when you feel like you don't know how to help yourself and you don't know why you can't stop, then you just keep doing it and you keep realizing you're making mistake and after mistake after mistake. But you're just like, what do I do? That's when you should definitely go get help. You need to go seek a counselor, go seek a pastor, get prayer, talk to someone who you can trust, and ask them to help you process. Ask them to ask you questions and help you understand how'd you get here? I think it's huge.
I know, because I think there are some things you can kind of do on your own, but then I think a lot of times it's deep rooted.
Yeah.
And to really find the healing that is needed, you need external help too.
Well, and ultimately I feel like the goal of most therapists, their goal is to educate you and coach you and train you through how to deal with and process situations in your own person. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's the goal.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I have. And I feel like I've had so much therapy and I've gone through so much different healing. And so it's enabled me to have skill sets where certain things come up where I kind of know how to process through certain things.
Because of what you had learned in previous therapy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's helped me. It's helped me grow, I think. And it's helped me understand and be more aware even. And yeah. But it had to come through seeking help. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, I love what you said. How I think I relate a lot with being made aware through the behaviors of our children being modeled back to us.
Yeah,
that's definitely an eye opener. Yeah, often.
Yeah,
but I love how you also. I think you said it more subtly, so I just want to point it out more. But you talked about how being a teammate with your spouse and working towards health and wholeness together is so important. And which, we talked about that when in one of our other episodes where we talked about exhorting each other.
Yeah.
But I think that is so key to be able to have the trust where you can call me out.
Yeah.
And even in a moment, or in a separate conversation. But there's been times where you've been Meg, you said that really rudely to talking to the kids or something.
Yeah.
Or in a moment, you've said like, say that differently, or
Yeah.
that is like, oh, yeah, because you're not always aware in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having that agreement together is super helpful too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when your emotions are really running hot, and you don't, you just kind of go. You're just moving, and you don't recognize it. You don't recognize how the things you say are affecting other people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, having someone you can trust, having your spouse, and being a team, and that it just reminds me of one of the sections of the Legacy development book in the marriage module. I think was it Tim Keller who said that quote.
Oh yeah.
Like the purpose of marriage is like to see and go on this journey of seeing your spouse become who they were always meant to be. Mm-hmm. That kind of idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me think about that. What do you feel like are like some of the other maybe more common sin traps that parents might find themselves in this, within this topic of like being a role model and how
what they're modeling?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like what are some other, like the traps that parents might fall into when it comes to really trying to live out their legacy and be the example that they're supposed to be, that then are negative, obviously, and like have negative repercussions in their kids and negatively reinforce what they shouldn't be doing. And
I think a big problem is, I think lack of awareness for sure.
Yeah.
But then I also think like we need to have humility in order to be willing to change and to be able to acknowledge what we're doing that is not setting a good example for our kids and not creating the character in them that we would hope. Mm-hmm. Like having the humility to recognize that in ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I think like a willingness to do the hard work to change.
But I mean, like what are other just like common like sins that parents will fall into in light of this?
All kinds of things.
Yeah, like what are some of the common ones? I'm thinking like,
I don't know.
Lashing out.
Lying.
Yeah.
Complaining a lot. Being super fearful. Being really negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yelling.
Yeah.
I think being deceptive is something that like I think a lot of adults don't necessarily realize they're doing, but their kids are noticing. Like,
what do you mean? That's interesting.
I think like telling little lies that our kids know aren't true. Like, you know, the person at the store asks you a question and you don't tell the full truth for whatever reason. I don't know. I just feel like little things like that then give our kids permission to not tell the full truth because they see everything.
Yeah.
So they know when you're not telling the full truth to someone else in like a little small conversation. Or I don't know what else. There's all kinds of sins in the world.
Yeah, I
know. Why does that matter?
Well,
why are you wanting to point that out?
No, because I feel like there's certain ones that like make it easier to become aware of like some of your patterns. Like when you lash out, like if you're always lashing out, like, okay, that's a pattern. Like that's a common one. Right. Or, when your punishment or your discipline doesn't necessarily align with the behavior and it's more out of like just anger.
Yeah.
Like you're acting out of anger, right? Or like when you don't follow through on your word. Like if you say, I feel like I hear, not all the time, but sometimes I hear parents be like, okay, you're not ever going to get this if you do that, or you're going to lose your,
like threats.
Yeah. Big, empty threats.
But what kind of character does that create in your kids if you're doing that?
Well, probably deceitfulness and lying and not being true to your word. In my mind.
Yeah, or like lack of integrity, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you're not following through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another one I was thinking that's probably common for some is moving too fast and not slowing down, being hurried and rushed. So like if you recognize you're always in a rush and moving, it's like, okay, well, maybe you should slow down and like, let's figure out why you're in a rush. When you're disengaged and you're looking at your phone all the time while your kids are trying to talk to you, I feel like that's a sin trap.
Yeah, for sure. And then our kids grow up as they're on their phones all the time.
Yeah,
Have no
exactly.
connection. Yeah, for sure.
Or self-centeredness, selfishness. I just think those are that list of sin traps, and thinking about that, like it happens to everybody, and those are kind of easy ones to point out. Okay, when are you in a place where you need to maybe do some personal work on yourself, on your soul, so that you can stop like behaving that way as a person, as a parent. And back to the topic of the episode is you really lead out of a place of integrity and living by example, and being someone that your kids, that you want your kids to be, but yeah.
What have you noticed are for you like challenges to making those changes to behaviors like that? Like what makes it hard to change?
I think there's always a default. Like I think it's easy to slip into your default. When you've grown up a certain way and you have these very deep pre-existing beliefs and pre-existing habits, ruts, and just modes of operating, it's like, it's hard to get out of that, It's against your kind of flow, and it's like a very when I think of the idea of like you're taking the path of least resistance. Your brain naturally takes the path of least resistance, and so it's like with those deep habits and patterns that you've created over years and years and years and years, your neurological pathways, your synapses, they get trafficked and they expand, they grow, and it becomes easier to traffic. And so the thoughts and those things just they gravitate to it, and so it's just hard. But what was your question again? I forgot your question.
What challenges have you noticed in trying to change these behaviors?
What challenges?
Like what makes it hard to change? I mean,
that
you
makes it hard.
answered it, but like more personally.
Oh, yeah, probably not having community. That's how I mean, for me, that's what really helps. Like I need accountability for me. I'm not like, just personally speaking, like I'm not as self-motivated to change like habits without accountability.
So in this area though, what type of accountability has helped you?
Setting goals.
Because this is so like personal. So,
yeah.
Right? So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it ties to it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Like you got guys checking in on you. Hey, lashing out at your kids today? Or what does that look like? Yeah.
Yeah. So like, for example, in my men's group, we have this app and we set goals, we set like habits. And so like we'll check things off every day. If we did it, if we didn't, whatnot. And then every Friday when we have men's group, we check in and we talk about how we did. And we set new goals, and it's really for us, it's like a practice of putting our word into action. And so if we say we're going to do something, then, and we don't do it, like we're lying, And so, or there's something else. Like sometimes we'll put ourselves on the hook. Like for example, something that's really effective for me is like pain. Like I'm not as motivated by reward as I am with pain. And so if I know, like for example, let's say I need to start a new habit. I need to stop getting on my phone with my kids around. And so I could set a goal, like, or set a goal saying that every time I get on my phone with my kids around, I'm going to owe each of the guys in my men's group $5. So that adds up.
Have you done this?
That adds up pretty quick. Yeah.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I did it for a weight loss challenge once though.
Oh, okay.
But I succeeded, so I didn't have to pay anyone. But
you should do it with your phone for real. That's a good one.
I know, but that's it's daunting.
Yeah. Got to rethink it a little.
Yeah, maybe $1.50. But that's a strategy for me because I know, like, I don't want to have to pay that money. I don't want to. I mean, let's just say if I for a whole week, and it comes down to like, oh man, I did it once a day. So that's 7 times 5. That's every guy gets $35. I'm out like $600 or whatever by the end of the week.
Yeah, that's motivating.
So that's super motivating for me. I'm not going to lose that.
But then what happens when the accountability is gone? Has the habit changed enough?
Yeah. Ideally, yes. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about habits is when you have accountability and you're able to implement small atomic habits, it changes the way you think. And so, for example, when I'm doing, like, I've kind of fallen out of it, but I had a really strong habit of getting up early, doing a morning routine, 5 things a day. And
it started off with accountability and then it just became self-motivated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, I have to get this in. Like, my mind was like used to just waking up and just doing the same 5 things every single day. But I did it every day for like 18 months without fail. Mm-hmm. And so it was ingrained. And it's still like, I haven't,
Okay, but how does that work for something like, I think the examples you're giving are really tangible, but like something that's like yelling at your kids. Mm-hmm. Like that one is motivated by more deeper rooted things than just like, oh, I'm tired, I can't get up in the morning.
Yep.
So
yeah,
that seems a little harder.
No, it's not. So the things that I was describing were like long-term goals. I feel like something like that can be impact. Like you can intervene that pattern through awareness, and because awareness brings freedom. When you are finally aware of what's really going on, you finally are aware of the problem. The problem isn't yelling at your kid. I mean, it is a problem. But if that's been happening, like that's not really the problem, the underlying problem. When you can actually spend some time becoming aware of what is really going on, then you can solve the problem. Like, let's say your boss is mad at you or whatever, talks really rudely to you in the way that he shouldn't talk to you, and that is having an impact on your spirit, on your identity, and you're taking that home and it's kind of coming out at home, then if you can't pause long enough to realize that's the real problem in your life that's causing you to have this emotional trigger, like then you get to go back and you get to solve the real problem. You get to go and face your boss, or maybe you need to change departments and that problem solved. Or another thing is, once you've realized the problem, and maybe it's a belief, maybe there's like a false belief that you're believing about yourself, and you can replace that with the truth. And then you get in the habit of practicing, or maybe you ask your spouse, hey, when you notice me yell at the kids, please tell me. Not for the purpose of just calling me out, but because I want to practice taking a quick 30 seconds to just repeat a truth in my mind, of like who I am. Because what that does, and there's a lot of psychology around this, and Dr. Andy Garrett and several other people, there's always a gap between stimulus and response. You have your stimulus, you have this event, this circumstance, your kid's nagging you, and the response is you yelling. But there's always a gap, and so if you can delay the response from the event like long enough to just take a deep breath, or become aware, or remember, like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this way because my boss was yelling at me and it was making me think that I'm not good enough, or my work's not good enough, and that in me causes me to feel anxious. And so I'm starting to feel this when my kid's yelling at me that I'm not making this food right or whatever. And so that feeling, that same exact emotion comes back up, and I want to just react. But if you can pause long enough, it'll slow yourself down to create essentially a new pathway in that situation for future situations.
That's great.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. So I have some things that I think would be good. I kind of went through it, but I think there's really 8 things you can do when these moments happen that I've written down. when these things happen, how you can get out of an old habit, an old pattern, an old behavior that's negatively impacting your kids and you don't even realize it. Here's a couple things you can do. First is, like Megan said earlier, be humble. Have an attitude of humility. The second thing is recognize when you act out and even write it down. Write down, like I said, pause, write down what happened, and then write down the events that transpired around that one instance. Because usually it's more than one just type of moment that you start feeling this or have those emotions. Third is start to notice. Just notice. Don't judge yourself. Notice the feelings and emotions and sensations in your body during the times that you act out, that you react. Just take some time noticing. Fourth is decide, once you've taken the time to notice, then start planning. Decide how you will or what you will do the moment you feel those things in a future instance. So start planning. Have a plan of like, when you feel this way, I'm going to go take a deep breath instead of I'm going to react. The fifth thing is to practice. Practice. You're not going to be perfect. It takes practice. Give yourself grace. Sixth is ask for forgiveness when you mess up. The seventh is ask for help. Ask for help and accountability. And 8 is review and assess your progress. And this is that's what helps you keep going, is when you actually take time to reflect and you see like, wow, I've actually not yelled at my kids as much as I used to. And it's encouraging. And you can kind of use that as momentum to then whittle away at another behavior that maybe you're not proud of, that your kids are seeing, But, yeah. Any other thoughts?
No, that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Legacy starts with you.
Legacy starts with you guys, okay? It's a great episode. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.